Imagine waking up one morning and feeling that nothing around you is truly your own choice. The decisions you make, the ones you think are deeply personal, born from your will, your desires are not your own at all. You think you choose your career path, the relationships you build, the ideals you hold dear, but what if it's all an illusion? What if there are forces, unseen and unacknowledged, quietly controlling every step you take, shaping every thought, and directing every action, without you even realizing it? You might wonder, how could this be? After all, you live your life as if you're the one steering the ship, right? You make choices, you react to situations, you feel the sting of failure or the sweet reward of success. But pause for a moment. If you truly examine your life, how much of it is genuinely directed by your conscious thoughts, and how much of it has been unconsciously influenced by something far beyond your awareness? How often have you looked back on a decision and wondered why you made it? Did you really choose it? Or were you simply following the path that was subtly laid out for you by unseen hands? The world is full of systems, cultural narratives, and unconscious forces that constantly influence us. And these forces are often so deeply ingrained, we no longer see them as external, they just seem like a natural part of life, like a part of who we are now. Think of this. What if everything you've ever believed about yourself, the image of who you think you are, has been shaped by these invisible forces? What if the story you tell yourself about your identity, your past, your future, is nothing more than a script written by cultural conditioning, family expectations, or societal pressure? These influences seep into our minds from the moment we're born, molding our perceptions of reality, pushing us to conform, shaping our desires, and dictating the course of our lives. The truth is, most of us live under the illusion that we are the ones in control when, in reality, we are often just puppets in a much larger game. What if everything you thought you knew about your free will, your autonomy, your ability to truly shape your destiny is fundamentally flawed? Can you truly say you control your life, or have you merely been playing the part of someone else's design? This is not to suggest that you're helpless or entirely controlled by external forces. There is, of course, an element of agency, but the uncomfortable truth is that the degree of control you believe you have may be far less than what you think. The forces influencing your actions are deeply psychological and philosophical in nature, and they lie beneath the surface of your awareness, guiding you in ways that can be profound, subtle, and often detrimental. This brings us to the great question: who is really in charge of your life? Are you truly the one driving the narrative, or is there a deeper, more insidious force, one that hides in the shadows, unseen and unacknowledged, pushing you in directions you never intended? This question has been at the heart of some of the most important psychological and philosophical discussions for centuries. Great thinkers like Carl Jung, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Jean-Paul Sartre all explored the tension between the conscious mind and the unconscious forces that drive us. But understanding the nature of these forces requires more than just intellectual knowledge. It demands deep introspection and the courage to face uncomfortable truths about ourselves. So, what if I told you that the life you're living, choices you're making, are far more influenced by forces you've never questioned than you ever thought possible? Would you be willing to look beyond the veil and see things as they truly are? Because here's the thing, once you begin to peel back the layers of conditioning and subconscious influence, you will begin to see how little of your life is genuinely your own. And more importantly, you'll begin to understand the immense power you actually have to reshape your reality. But before you can do that, you must first confront the hidden forces that have been shaping your every move. Now that you've been confronted with the uncomfortable possibility that unseen forces may be controlling your actions, let's take a deeper dive into what exactly these forces are and where they originate. It's easy to feel overwhelmed at this realization, but understanding the psychological and philosophical roots of these influences will not only empower you but also help you reclaim your true agency. The first hidden force is the unconscious mind, the vast, shadowy part of our psyche that operates beneath the surface of our awareness. You may think you're making rational, conscious decisions every day, but in reality, your unconscious mind is constantly working in the background, processing information, and influencing your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without your knowledge. It's a reservoir of hidden desires, repressed memories, instincts, and fears, and it significantly shapes how you see yourself and the world around you. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, described the unconscious mind as the seat of the shadow self, the aspects of our personality that we repress, deny, or refuse to acknowledge. These aspects of ourselves may be uncomfortable or even shameful, which is why they are pushed into the unconscious, but just because they are hidden does not mean they are inactive. The shadow self doesn't simply disappear. Instead, it exerts a powerful influence over our lives in ways we can't perceive. It manifests in our projections, where we see in others what we are unwilling to see in ourselves, or in our behaviors, which often seem inexplicable or out of character. Think about the moments when you've acted impulsively or made decisions that seem to be out of alignment with your true values. Ever wonder why you acted that way? In those moments, it was likely the shadow self pulling the strings. This part of your psyche doesn't care about reason or conscious intention. It seeks to bring hidden desires to the surface, often in disruptive or unhealthy ways. The unconscious is an unruly force, operating in the background, influencing your behaviors without your consent. But the shadow is not the only player here. There's another hidden force that operates even more subtly: societal conditioning. From the moment you are born, you are thrust into a web of societal structures that dictate how you should behave, what you should value, and what goals you should pursue. These structures, whether they are cultural norms, familial expectations, or media messages, are designed to maintain the status quo and enforce conformity. The problem arises when we internalize these expectations as our own desires, thinking we are making independent choices when, in fact, we are simply following the script handed down to us. Friedrich Nietzsche, the 19th century philosopher, warned against the dangers of what he called the herd mentality, the tendency to conform to the values and beliefs of society without ever questioning them. Nietzsche saw this as a major threat to individual freedom and self-realization. He argued that the desire to fit in, to be accepted, leads many individuals to suppress their true selves in favor of what is considered socially acceptable. Over time, these societal pressures become internalized, and we begin to believe that the goals and values imposed upon us by the outside world are our own. Consider the pressure to succeed, to climb the social ladder, to accumulate wealth, or to be admired by others. These are not innate desires, they are products of the society in which you live. And yet, many of us blindly chase after them, assuming that achieving these goals will bring us happiness or fulfillment. But this often leads to a hollow, superficial existence, one where the true essence of who you are is buried beneath a mountain of external expectations. This brings us to another hidden force: the fear of existential isolation. Jean-Paul Sartre, the French existentialist philosopher, famously said, "Hell is other people." He was referring to the profound sense of isolation that comes from realizing that we are fundamentally alone in our existence, and that no one can truly understand the inner workings of our minds. At the same time, we have a deep-seated need to connect with others, to be validated, and to belong. This creates a paradox. On the one hand, we long for individuality and self-expression, but on the other, we fear the consequences of standing apart from the crowd. This fear of existential isolation leads many of us to suppress our true selves in order to gain acceptance and validation from others. We may compromise our values, shrink our desires, or pretend to be someone we're not, all in the name of fitting in, but by doing so we lose touch with the core of who we are. Our authenticity is sacrificed for the sake of social acceptance, and we end up living a life that is disconnected from our true self. At the heart of these influences lies a lack of self-awareness. You may believe that you are consciously choosing the path you are on, but the truth is, many of these unconscious forces are shaping your decisions without your knowledge. The unconscious mind, societal expectations, and existential fears create a tangled web that prevents you from seeing your life as it truly is. You are living in a haze of conditioned responses and unconscious habits, following the path that has been set for you without even realizing it. The key to breaking free from these forces lies in awareness. But awareness isn't enough by itself. You must also be willing to confront the shadow, the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, and challenge the societal beliefs and values that have been imposed upon you. This requires courage, self-reflection, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. The hidden forces that control your actions are powerful, but they are not invincible. Once you understand them, once you see them for what they are, you can begin to reclaim your agency. You can break free from the chains of societal conditioning and unconscious influence, but this requires taking a hard, honest look at your life, and asking the most difficult question of all: what forces are truly driving me? Now that we've begun to peel back the layers and understand the hidden forces that control our actions, it's time to look at the consequences of letting these unseen forces dictate our lives. This section will explore how these hidden influences infiltrate every aspect of your existence, shaping your decisions, your relationships, and your sense of self, often without your awareness. Cognitive biases. The unseen architects of your reality. You might think you're an objective observer, making decisions based on logic and reason, but the reality is that your mind is constantly working against you, creating a distorted version of the world through cognitive biases. These are the mental shortcuts your brain uses to save time and energy, but they often lead to irrational decisions, skewed perceptions, and self-deception. Confirmation bias is one of the most powerful cognitive biases. It works by filtering out information that contradicts your existing beliefs and focusing on information that supports them. Imagine that you're a person who believes that success is determined by hard work alone. You might ignore stories of people who achieve success through luck or privilege, only seeking out examples of hardworking individuals who make it big. In doing so, you reinforce your existing worldview, creating a narrow and distorted version of reality. The anchoring effect is another bias that shapes your decision-making. It refers to the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information you encounter when making a judgment. For example, if the first price you see for a car is $50,000, you'll anchor your expectations around that price. Even if the car you end up buying costs $30,000, you might convince yourself that you've gotten a good deal, despite the fact that $30,000 might still be overpriced. These biases create a false sense of security and prevent you from seeing the bigger picture. They keep you trapped in your own worldview, limiting your potential for growth and transformation. And since most of these biases operate outside of your conscious awareness, you don't even realize that they're influencing your decisions. The societal influence. How external forces shape your identity beyond the cognitive biases at play. Societal conditioning imposes another set of consequences on your life. The expectations, norms, and values of the society in which you live shape how you see yourself and what you aspire to be. The pressure to conform is so ingrained that it becomes almost invisible. Take for instance the pressure to pursue traditional markers of success, a high-paying job, a big house, and social status. These are goals that are handed down by society, passed off as the blueprint for a fulfilling life. But what happens when you follow this blueprint, only to find yourself feeling empty and disconnected? You've achieved what society said you should, but you haven't achieved what you truly want. In many cases, societal conditioning also leads to a lack of authenticity in relationships. The fear of judgment and rejection often leads people to hide their true selves. You may find yourself pretending to be someone you're not, just to fit in, to avoid conflict, or to be accepted. You suppress your desires, hide your vulnerabilities, and adopt an identity that aligns with what others expect of you. The result? A deep sense of isolation and an ongoing struggle with self-worth. These societal pressures also extend to the way we view happiness and success. From an early age, you are taught that happiness is something that can be bought, achieved, or obtained through external markers. This idea has been reinforced by advertising, social media, and even your own upbringing. But the truth is that chasing external success often leads to a hollow existence, a life filled with accomplishments but void of fulfillment. Why? Because these societal forces are based on superficial goals that align with the collective desires of the group, not your individual truths. And when you fail to align your life with your authentic self, you inevitably end up feeling lost, frustrated, and out of touch with who you really are. The fear of isolation, the prison of conformity at the heart of the societal conditioning and unconscious mind lies a much deeper, existential fear, the fear of isolation. Sartre's notion of existential isolation is central here. We are social beings who crave connection, but we also live in a world where true authenticity is often penalized. This sets up a paradox. You want to express your individuality, but you also fear the consequences of standing out, of being rejected, or of being alone. This fear of isolation is devastatingly powerful. It prevents you from living freely and fully, keeping you tethered to the expectations and norms that society has set for you. The truth is, the more you try to conform to fit in, the more disconnected you become from your true self. This perpetual battle between individuality and conformity traps you in a cycle of self-doubt and fear of rejection. And this fear often holds you back from pursuing your true desires, from stepping outside the societal box, and from embracing the freedom to become who you were meant to be. Consider the people who lived their lives primarily for the validation of others. They craft their identity around their relationships, their job titles, or the opinions of society. At first glance, they may seem successful, but deep down, they struggle with loneliness, anxiety, and a nagging feeling that they are living someone else's life. Their actions are not theirs to control. Instead, they are controlled by the need for external validation, making them vulnerable to the forces that shape societal expectations. The neuroscience of habits. How your brain locks you in the final layer of unseen forces is the neuroscience of habits. You may believe that you are the master of your actions, but your brain is programmed to favor repetition and efficiency, creating pathways that make certain actions feel automatic. The more you repeat a behavior, the stronger these neural pathways become, turning the behavior into a habit that is almost impossible to break. Every action you take, whether it's reaching for your phone when you're bored, scrolling through social media, or opting for fast food when you're hungry, reinforces a neural pathway that makes these behaviors increasingly automatic. Over time, these habits become so ingrained that they are no longer choices, but compulsions. And because the brain favors efficiency, it resists change, making it hard to break free from these patterns. This is why it can feel like you're stuck in a loop, unable to break free from your own habits, even when you know they are not serving you. The more you try to change, the more your brain fights back, wanting to preserve the comfort and familiarity of the status quo. Conclusion: the urgency of awareness. When you begin to see how deeply these hidden forces influence your life, the urgency of breaking free becomes crystal clear. You are not as free as you think you are. Your choices, thoughts, and behaviors are being shaped by forces that you cannot even see. These forces are not inherently evil, but if left unchecked, they prevent you from living an authentic, fulfilling life. The first step is to become aware of these forces and to recognize when they are influencing you. This awareness, though difficult to achieve, is the key to freeing yourself from the invisible chains that bind you. You have the power to change, to reclaim your authentic self. But it requires deep introspection, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about who you are and how you've been living. Are you ready to break free from the unseen forces that control your life? The journey to self-liberation starts with a single realization. You are not the sum of your biases, your societal conditioning, or your unconscious desires. You are the architect of your own reality. But first, you must be willing to confront the forces that have been pulling the strings. The choice is yours. The path we've walked so far has led us to a pivotal moment, the realization that most of our decisions are shaped by forces outside our conscious awareness. Now comes the most crucial question: how do we break free from these unseen forces? The road ahead is not easy. It requires a fundamental shift in perspective, a willingness to challenge everything we've been taught, and a commitment to personal transformation. The radical shift. Questioning everything you know. The first step in breaking free from these unseen forces is to question everything you know. This might sound simple, but it's incredibly difficult to do, especially when society has ingrained these beliefs into you from the moment you were born. The very structures that shape your reality, from your family dynamics to the educational system to your workplace, are designed to perpetuate certain patterns of thought. Philosophers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Jean-Paul Sartre argued that the greatest barrier to personal freedom is the unquestioned acceptance of societal norms. Nietzsche called this the herd mentality, a phenomenon where individuals blindly follow the values and beliefs of the collective, without ever considering whether those values truly align with their authentic selves. Sartre spoke of bad faith, a form of self-deception in which we conform to societal expectations and avoid confronting the anguish of true freedom. When you begin questioning everything around you, the world becomes far less certain. You're forced to confront uncomfortable truths about who you really are, separate from the roles you've been playing all your life. This process is deeply unsettling. It's as though you're stepping into a void, leaving behind the comforting structure of certainty. But it's the only way to reclaim your own mind and your life. The power of self-awareness, the key to liberation. Once you begin questioning the forces shaping your actions, the next step is to cultivate self. Without this, you're like a ship adrift on a stormy sea, at the mercy of external currents. But self-awareness is not just about noticing your thoughts. It's about understanding the patterns of behavior that govern your life. It's about recognizing the unconscious biases, the habitual responses, and the social pressures that steer you off course. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools you can use to build self. By practicing mindfulness, you begin to observe your thoughts and behaviors without judgment. You stop identifying with them and start seeing them for what they truly are, temporary mental patterns that you don't have to act upon. Mindfulness allows you to create space between stimulus and response, enabling you to choose how to react rather than being governed by automatic impulses. Carl Jung's idea of the unconscious mind plays a crucial role here. He believed that much of our behavior is driven by hidden forces within the psyche, forces that, if not confronted, continue to shape our reality in ways we cannot see. Through self-awareness, we can begin to bring these unconscious elements into the light, confronting them and integrating them into our conscious experience. This process is known as shadow work. Shadow work involves acknowledging the parts of yourself that you've repressed, the dark aspects of your personality that you've tried to hide or deny. It's about confronting your fears, your insecurities, and your limiting beliefs. This process can be painful, but it's also profoundly liberating. By accepting your shadow, you can break free from the grip of unconscious forces that have been controlling your life for years. Embracing authenticity, reclaiming your true self. Once you've started the process of self-awareness, the next step is to embrace authenticity. The most powerful force in your life is not the expectations of others, nor the biases you've inherited. It is your own truth. The moment you stop pretending to be someone you're not is the moment you reclaim your freedom. But embracing authenticity requires courage. It means standing up for yourself, even when society pressures you to conform. It means choosing your own path, even if it's different from the one everyone else is walking. In a world that values conformity, authenticity is often seen as an act of rebellion. But the truth is, embracing your true self is one of the most empowering things you can do. It's the key to living a life that is meaningful, not because it aligns with society's standards, but because it aligns with your deepest desires and values. This authenticity isn't about perfection, about honesty. It's about embracing both your light and your darkness, your strengths and your weaknesses. Only by being fully honest with yourself can you create a life that reflects who you truly are, breaking the cycle of societal conditioning, reclaiming your power to break free from the unseen forces that control your life. You must consciously disengage from the cycle of societal conditioning. This means rejecting the unspoken rules that dictate your decisions, questioning the status quo and recognizing that you are not bound to live according to someone else's blueprint. This is where Viktor Frankl's philosophy of meaning-making becomes crucial. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, argued that even in the most brutal circumstances, humans have the ability to choose their response to life. He emphasized the importance of finding personal meaning in everything, even suffering. In this context, breaking free from societal conditioning means choosing your own meaning rather than accepting the preordained meaning handed to you by others. Frankl's concept of self-transcendence also plays a pivotal role. Instead of focusing on personal success or pleasure, self-transcendence involves looking beyond oneself to something greater, whether that's serving others, pursuing a higher purpose, or creating something that transcends your own ego. When you break free from the conditioning of society, you're no longer focused on gaining approval from others or achieving external success. Instead, you're focused on living with purpose and creating meaning that is unique to your journey. The role of courage, stepping into the unknown. Finally, to break free from these unseen forces, you must be willing to embrace the unknown. The path to liberation is not clear-cut, and there are no guarantees. This is where courage plays a crucial role. It takes courage to step into the unknown, to challenge the norms, and to risk failure. But it also takes courage to dream bigger than the confines of your current reality. This is the essence of existential freedom, the power to choose. It's the realization that, although the forces around you may seem overwhelming, you still have the ability to break free from them, and to choose a different path. This choice, however, comes at a price. It requires you to let go of comfort and security. It demands that you walk through uncertainty, not knowing exactly what the future holds. But it is in this uncertainty that the true power of freedom lies. The power to create your own reality, to shape your destiny according to your values, is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. And while this journey may be fraught with challenges, it is also filled with the potential for profound transformation. Conclusion. The rebirth of the authentic you. Breaking free from the unseen forces that control your life is a rebirth. It's a transformation from being a passive participant in your own existence to becoming the active creator of your reality. By embracing self-awareness, questioning societal norms, and committing to authenticity, you'll reclaim your true power. You might not have control over the forces that shaped you in the past, but you have control over how you choose to move forward. It's time to step into your true self, to live authentically, and to begin the journey of self-liberation. And while the road ahead may be challenging, remember, it is through this struggle that you will find the freedom you've been seeking all along. As we reach the final step of this journey, the question becomes, what is the ultimate truth about the unseen forces that shape our actions, beliefs, and perceptions? After all the questioning, the self-awareness, and the courage to step into the unknown, we find ourselves face to face with a revelation that changes everything, a truth so profound. It shifts our understanding of not only our own lives, but of the very nature of reality itself. The truth behind the unseen forces, the paradox is this: the very forces that have been controlling your life, the ones you have struggled so deeply to identify and understand, are not external at all. They are inside you. The beliefs, the patterns, the fears, they are products of your own mind. For years you may have believed that the world was imposing its reality upon you, that society was controlling you, that the past was holding you hostage. But the deeper truth is that it was always your own perception of these things that shaped your reality. It's your mind, your thoughts, your judgments that are the architects of your life's narrative. And the moment you understand this, everything changes. This is the ultimate liberation. The realization that, while you cannot control every external circumstance, you can choose how you perceive and respond to everything. The world, as it is, does not have inherent meaning, it only has the meaning that you impose upon it. This understanding opens up a new realm of possibility, one where you are no longer the victim of external forces, but the creator of your own reality. Embracing the infinite potential of the present moment, the key to breaking free from the grip of these unseen forces lies in embracing the present moment. We are constantly either trapped in the past, clinging to regrets, memories, and wounds, or we are projecting into the future, caught in anxiety and fear of what might happen. But the only true moment we ever have is now, this fleeting moment, filled with infinite potential. This realization echoes the teachings of existential philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre, who stressed that freedom exists only in the present moment. The past is gone, the future is yet to come, but now, right here, is the only moment where we have the power to create. When you fully embrace the present, you step outside the cycle of your habitual thoughts and emotional patterns. You begin to see the world with fresh eyes, unclouded by judgment, expectation, or fear. You'll realize that every moment is a chance to choose who you are, to choose how you respond, and to choose what you value. You are no longer defined by the past or dictated by external forces. The illusion of control, letting go of the need for certainty. Another profound realization is that, despite all our efforts to control life, we never truly have control over anything. We can't control other people's actions, the future, or even the outcome of our own efforts. The need for certainty and control, though deeply ingrained in us, is ultimately an illusion. This is a concept that Arthur Schopenhauer explored in his philosophy, the idea that the human will is never truly satisfied because the very essence of existence is in flux. No matter how much we strive for certainty, the world around us is constantly changing, and so are we. Trying to hold on to control only creates suffering, because life will always move beyond our grasp. To break free from this, you must learn to let go of the need to control every aspect of your life. Surrender does not mean giving up. Rather, it means accepting the uncertainty of life and trusting that, despite the chaos, you will find your way. This is the profound freedom that comes with accepting impermanence, the ability to let go of the need for a rigid plan and allow yourself to flow with the rhythm of life. The power of acceptance. The secret to true freedom. At the heart of the ultimate truth lies the concept of acceptance, not just accepting the external world but accepting yourself and your place within it. Acceptance is not the same as resignation. It's a conscious choice to stop fighting against what is and to embrace reality as it is, even in its most uncomfortable forms. When you truly accept the reality of your situation, you stop resisting the circumstances you cannot change. This doesn't mean giving up on your goals or desires. It simply means letting go of the emotional charge around them. The struggle to control every aspect of life only generates suffering. True peace comes from surrendering the need to control and instead embracing the fluidity of life. This kind of acceptance allows you to liberate your mind from the tyranny of fear and judgment. You no longer seek external validation or approval because you have found peace within. You can live authentically without fear of being judged or misunderstood because you have stopped judging yourself. The realization of infinite freedom. The final, most powerful realization is that true freedom exists, but it is not the freedom to control the external world or to bend life to your will. It is the freedom to control your internal world, to choose how you experience the world, and to live in alignment with your truest self. True freedom comes when you realize that you are not the sum of your thoughts, your past, or your circumstances. You are the creator of your own reality, and your thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions are tools, not masters. When you understand that you have the power to shape your reality, the illusion of control is shattered, and you enter a new state of empowered existence. This freedom is found in the letting go of the idea that life must go a certain way, letting go of your attachment to outcomes, and letting go of the belief that you are defined by your past. In the freedom of surrender, you come into alignment with your true self, and in doing so, you begin to shape your own reality with a newfound clarity and purpose. Embracing the journey, the endless path of self-liberation, this journey of breaking free from the unseen forces and embracing the freedom that lies in the present moment is not a destination, but an ongoing process. It's not about reaching some final point of perfection, but about embracing the constant unfolding of who you are. In the same way that the philosophers and spiritual teachers of the past have explored the nature of human existence, so too must you embark on your own journey of self-liberation. There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and struggles along the way. But each step you take toward embracing your true self, each moment you spend in self-awareness and surrender, brings you closer to the ultimate realization that you are not a passive observer of your life, but the active creator of it. As you continue along this path, remember that you are the master of your reality, and that each choice you make, no matter how small, has the power to shape your future. With the wisdom of self-awareness, the courage to question, and the acceptance of life's inherent uncertainty, you can break free from the forces that control your actions and live in alignment with your deepest truth. Conclusion: the power within you, the unseen forces that control your life, are not external, they are within you, shaped by your beliefs, your fears, and your perceptions. But by embracing self-awareness, questioning societal norms, and letting go of the need for control, you can free yourself from these forces and create a reality that reflects your authentic self. This is the ultimate truth, that you are not the victim of your circumstances, but the creator of your own life. The journey toward self-liberation is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom, and once you walk it, you will never be the same. You will have unlocked the full potential of your mind, your spirit, and your reality. This is your life. It's time to break free and begin living it on your own terms.